welcome to another episode of the Deeper Than Know podcast. Super excited to have Trevor Hall. I was explaining to my wife that I was having you on the show today, and she's like, "Oh, the name didn't sound familiar." I was like, "We've listened to a lot of his songs before." So, anyways, so
Oh,
she's
right on.
as excited as me to have you. So, welcome to the show, Trevor.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Trevor, can we start with just a few minutes of your background?
Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter, musician. I've been doing it for I started really young and around 16 years old, so I've been doing it for I think 20 years now, I guess. Um, and yeah, it's just all I know.
And
And it's my passion, it's my love, and I've just blessed to still be able to do it. Um, and yeah, just hope to continue the journey and the learning process through music. But yeah, try to use my music as a tool of like healing, uh, and not only just expressing my creativity, but um, kind of expressing it in a way that helps heal whatever I'm going through, or um,
yeah, what got you
yeah.
started down that path and that
I
music
don't know. I
choice?
think I've always just kind of, been interested in like self discovery, and and like into like something more than just like what we're seeing around us type thing.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and was yeah just always interested in like spirituality and that and this and the spiritual path, and how like different cultures and people around the world like you know express that relationship.
How
And
does that tie into your upbringing? Were you like raised
mm,
religious or anything?
no, I wasn't raised in a religious house. I mean, my we went to church on Sundays,
Uh,
sometimes, but it wasn't like a very strict type of thing. It was just kind of my dad is um, a religious man and like plays the drums in church and stuff, but not in a very parochial, I think, sense.
okay.
Um, and my mom is very spiritual, like in her own, unique way, um, and but I didn't have any type of like, yeah, I think like a upbringing in a in a religious house, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It was
Okay.
more of just my own interest, I think. And I grew up like on a very small island in South Carolina, and there wasn't a lot of access to knowledge of like how other people thought of things, like I was really into like karate, I remember, because I think part of the reason I was so into karate was because it showed these other cultures, like these Asian cultures and these from around the world, that I was like, whoa, this is I don't know, I was just like so interested uh in how other people did things, I guess, because maybe it was because I felt a little stuck,
Um,
Um, so yeah, I don't know. It was always that, and then music kind of became this tool to like uh, explore the kind of like the depths of my heart and being and mind and all that stuff. So
see,
that's just it's just how it happened that way.
that's awesome. For me, it took getting into psychedelics to expand. I did grow
Mm-hmm.
up in Utah, what's called Happy Valley. Everybody's Mormon, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very religious, and everybody serves 2 year Mormon missions and all of that.
Wow.
And that was just like I knew all the answers. I know
Right.
everything because this is what my church is telling me.
Right.
And then getting into psychedelics, I'm like, holy crap! I don't even know who I am, let
Right.
alone the answers to life.
Right.
So you kind of had, I guess, a little bit of the opposite approach. And you talked about 16 is when you started songwriting. Um, at 16, where you're like, this is what I want to do. Was it as a hobby or like this is what I want to do for my career?
Well, I started kind of around like yeah, 15 or 16 writing songs and stuff. And it wasn't really like this is what I want to do. It was never really like that. It was just a deep love, for music. And um, I just kind of like, I think that's why it was so beautiful, is because I didn't think about anything else.
Uh-huh.
Oh, if this is what I want to do for my life or this and that. It was just that the presence of that like creative energy kind of freed me from all my rational, thinking. Um, and it just, I was really into like surfing as well. And in my mind, I wanted to be like a surfer, and, music was just who I was like, but I was really like focused on that. And then, yeah, and then it just kind of took over, and became everything.
When did that happen? Like, when did you decide that this is my career? This is how I'm going to make a living?
Well, I didn't really decide. I think that's the thing I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I went to an art school, a boarding school for high school, and that was like a big step, because I left my small town of South Carolina and was in California, at
Mhm.
this boarding school. Um, and was, yeah, just like really learning learning music, and music theory and how to read music and classical guitar. And it was just this very uh, incredible period of my life where I just exploration of music, and got a lot of training. And then after that I had signed my first deal like right out of my senior year of high school. And that's when I think it was like, okay, I'm going for this, like this is what I want to do. And if I can do it to support myself and others, then that would be a blessing, and I just stuck with it. um,
That's awesome. And
yeah.
have you always kind of had the theme of introspection, self healing all the way from the get go, or did that develop sometime later?
Yeah, I think it was always there from the get go, and it's like no matter what, if I try to write, about like something else, it always turns into a song about introspection and stuff. It's like, damn, I can't, you just chill the fuck out and just write a song about, grocery shopping, and, but it's just, that's who I am. It's just that serious side of me um, yeah, I don't know. It's just funny.
That's fun. How
Yeah.
was the? 'Cause obviously, it's not a very common way of life or career path. Talk to me kind of about support or the lack thereof. Was there support from friends and family, or was it kind of like, hey, this is such a hard industry, try to go be a doctor, or XYZ?
It was really difficult. Um, it was very, very difficult because I had signed this big, deal, this big record deal at like right at 18, years old, and right out of high school, moved to LA, got rented this like bit huge apartment like right on the beach.
'Cause you had
Um,
money coming in now.
yeah, because I got all this money from the label, and you know but I was alone in this big city,
Hmm.
and I had no friends, and was really miserable, because I had graduated high school, and high school was that school was this just beautiful community of artists from all over the world, and to be in that environment all the time was like so, oh, just incredible, incredible. And I signed the deal, and it's like, yeah, this is amazing. Like, you're signing this deal. This is incredible. Like, you've made it. And like all this stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess, I feel weird, but yeah, okay. And I moved to LA and was so depressed, was so lonely because I had no community. I was so young, so I couldn't really like how was I going to meet people if I wasn't in school or like, you know,
Yeah.
no, I can't get into bars or anything. And like who are you going to meet in a bar? I don't know. So it's like it was just a very lonely time. It was a very lonely time and I ended up long story short, I ended up getting dropped from that label, like 3 years later.
Mhm.
Uh ran out of money, recorded like 2 albums for them, which they shelved. They never put them out, and was left in a really, really tough spot. And I remember my parents were also in it. That was around like 2008. And my dad being in like real estate and stuff really like got nailed. Um, and it was a really tough time for my family as well. Um, so it was a very interesting time to like be in that together, because like I was only like 19 or whatever. No, I wasn't. I was 2008. Yeah, I was like, I guess I was like 21. Yeah, yeah, and to be like just trying to make it alone in LA and no money and then hearing my parents like, you know, getting nailed. It was just a really tough time. And support came, you know, not so much through like financial means. It came from just like a lot of love from like, family and friends really, you know, that were have always been there, or were always there. Just like always ask me how things are going and even if they were shit. Um, and just no matter what, even my parents, no matter what they were going through, like really bad, horrible debt and all this stuff. They just gave it their all. So,
And they were supportive of your decision to write music the entire time
oh
you lived.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
my dad's a musician and he's like a rock star. And he
So
was
living the dream.
stoked that I was into the craft, because he's a drummer.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's always been about it.
So whether it was when you're starting 18, 19, you got your first, deal signed to right now, and you kind of touched on it already a little bit. Like everybody else is like, "Hey, you've made it, this and that," um, and I hear that quite often to anybody with whatever they deem as success. Like, "Oh, it must be nice to have X, Y, Z, or money, or the cars, or the following, or whatever." And then my reaction is typically like, "It's just a different set of problems." Like, no, whether you have your songwriting or you're working at McDonald's, or where I'm at trying to figure out what the hell I'm trying to do with business. Like we have 200-ish employees. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I could tell you that maybe on the outside you think it's great, but on the inside, like it's stressful as hell. It's just different. And once like kind of I realized it, that's when I try to make my focus more on the journey rather than the destination. But I'd love to hear your
Mm.
thoughts on that.
Um, like the thoughts on the journey.
Yeah, the journey versus the destination, especially when it comes to like other people, like, oh, Trevor, dude, you're awesome. Your life must be perfect. And you're kind of like,
Yeah.
maybe it's not so perfect. And also, should other people want to be you or, anyone else rather than just being comfortable with what they're
No.
doing,
The
not
answer to
trying
that
to have
is
more
no.
success.
For the record, the answer to that is no. Um, yeah, no, I get what you're saying, I guess. I think, life is obvious. It's about experience, and you can read things in a book, and you can read teachings or, you know, um, whatever it may be. they can have an effect on you, but when you experience something like in real life, it's like it's different, you know, it hits
Mhm.
different. And I think like you at different points in our lives, we have, you know, certain desires, you know, and those desires can like change. And it's interesting to like look back on those, you know, transient, you know, things and see how much we were banking on those things to like make us feel happy or fulfilled, you know. And I think like in my own experience, just like as I get older, like becoming like a dad and like, you know, just families expanding and stuff, and seeing your own impermanence is just like it's really incredible, you know. And so yeah, you think about things in different ways, obviously, but I don't know how that related to your question. But I think
But
all
it
of
was good.
that
It was good. I'm glad you
because of because you because I've gotten older and have really like seen how everything is really impermanent. It brings me deeper into the present moment, you know, and that's something that I'm always trying to remember, to like bring myself into this moment.
and
Um,
and you mentioned
and
kids. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's okay. And I think like in that moment, you know, I'm not worried about the destination. I'm not worried about, you know, the future or this and that. You know, I'm just present and in the here and now, and that's just like a great success, even for like one moment. You know, um, yeah.
And one of the questions that I often ask is, I mean, what is the success or fulfillment? And if I'm hearing you, and you can expound a little bit more, but it's just, am I living in the moment? Am I present? Is that a definition for you, or would you define it in a different way?
I think like being in the moment is part of like success. You know, I don't really know. Success is such a strange word, you know. You know, it's just like makes me feel all sorts of ways, you know. But I think like yeah, I guess it's like according to like your own values, you know. And each person has different values and they have the right to have different values and stuff, you know. And I guess like success would be, you know, um yeah, just like honing those values, I guess, you know. Um like for example, somebody may success, you know, their values may be money and capital and growth and that, and when they get it, you know, maybe that's their success, that's what they want, you know. For your success may be different from my success, you know, it is different from my success. That doesn't make either one of ours wrong, I think. um, I think like, you know, success for me would be able to, yeah, just live a life that I think is, you know, in the present moment, a life of service, and love, you know, and yeah, being a good parent, um, you know,
How old are your kids?
all these things like, you know, form my own success. So it's kind of like a gray
Yeah,
success has become not so black and white for me. It's kind of like this in between stage, you know.
I like that. And you mentioned kids. Do you have multiple kids, and what are their ages?
I have a 2.5 or two. He turns 3 in March.
Okay.
A boy, and then my wife is pregnant with our second,
Oh,
who she's due in April.
okay.
So we're getting close.
Awesome. I have a boy that's about to turn 3 as well in March,
Okay. Right, well, right on. What's his birthday?
the 15th. What about
Oh,
yours?
okay. Kai's the 13th.
Okay, wow, 2 days apart.
There you go.
He's my third. For whatever reason, this is coming to my mind. I'm picking up my brother from the airport last night, and my 6 year old and my 5 year old are with. My 6 year old is very emotional and in touch with her emotions, which I love. And she was talking about how she's sad because she didn't want to grow up. And I was like, "Why are you sad to grow up?" And she's like, "Because I won't be able to dance or XYZ." And anyways, the topic became, I guess, my advice of the best part about growing up is so you can have kids. Like the amount of I guess going back to the success, like that's what I feel like is my daughter happy? Does she feel that I love her? You know.
Right.
Anyways, it was interesting to hear a 6 year old like be already starting to worry about future problems
Yeah. How
based on
sweet.
I don't know YouTube or what
Oh, it's so
all the
sweet.
influences he has. So no, it's kids are anyways. For me, it's super super fun. Being able to focus on them and their growth
Yeah.
apart from, I mean, it really puts in perspective, like, who cares what the business is doing? Who cares
Of
financially? Like,
course. Yeah, yeah.
if you don't have that relationship with the kids, then, and the spouse as well, for me is super important. Um, anyways, I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Going back to like the 18, 19 year old, when you said that you were lonely and you were able to lean on a lot of support from friends and family, um, I guess, can you dive into a little bit more into that as if you were speaking to yourself at 18 or 19? Like, this is what to do to, I guess, minimize the stress, the anxiety, the depression, the loneliness. This is what you should do to get out of that.
Well, I didn't have a lot, of that. I think I had to rely on myself, you know, as I think I had to feel it, I had to feel it, for new like life to come in, because it was like the death of a period of when, it's like a transition, okay, that graduating, you're done, that died now, you're here now. Um, and it was at that time that I um, had gone to this temple in Southern California,
Hmm.
in Laguna Beach. That was about an hour south of LA where I was living, and I just fell into this just beautiful, incredible community um, at this temple, and that became the the love and like the nurturing that like I needed, at that time. And it also satisfied a spiritual hunger for me, you know, because it's a traditional like Hindu temple. And I was just very taken with the expression of that spirituality. It was just so mind blowing to me. So I started driving down from LA like all the time. Like every time I had a free moment, I would drive down to the temple. And eventually, a few months later, I moved down there to Laguna because they became my community. I didn't know anybody in LA, and I just loved. I needed to feel that. Uh, yeah, that sense of togetherness. Um, so I moved down there, and so that support, it didn't come so much through like keep going or you know um, just keep on fighting, you can do it, or like how can I. That support just came from giving me space
Hmm.
to feel um, love and service from like someone else in the form of, hey, let me cook you dinner, you know how you doing, you know um I think you'd like this, or this made me think of you. Like something as simple as that can move one's heart, so deeply. And to have that sense there, in that community was just really cool, was really special. And that's the support that I got in order to just kind of, yeah, keep my spirit, keep my flame going,
Uh,
because getting dropped and kind of starting back from scratch almost, it was it was a lot. It took a lot out of me.
when I initially asked the question, I really liked your response of, I think I phrased it in a way like, how are you avoiding the loneliness and you know, these quote unquote negative emotions? Um, and your response was, I just have to feel them. And that is
Mm.
something that I've never wanted to do. I know I need to. I'm trying to do that. Was that something?
There's a lot of things I do not want to feel, and let's be clear.
But I mean, that's a very uncommon response of like, oh, I didn't even need to avoid them so much. I just needed to take them in and realize that this was, turning the chapter to
Hmm.
another. Like, did you realize it at that time, or is this more like retrospective of like that needed to happen and I just felt it?
I think it's more retrospective.
Okay.
I felt it, um, and I didn't have any outlet. So it was just there was nowhere I couldn't hide from it. Um, it's important to feel those things. We're we've grown up in a culture that is all about suppressing those things, and it's just it's hard to unlearn and relearn, but we have to do it, if we want to change. It's important to feel those things and not shame
Um,
ourselves from any type of feeling. Um, yeah,
there
that's
was a
that's
lot.
kind of what I've just been focusing on lately.
There was a lot of that I saw growing up, especially in a very religious setting, is kind of the formula, how I interpret it, whether I should have or not. But if you are righteous, if you keep God's commandments, you will be blessed with
Yeah,
prosperity, success, happiness. So then it's very easy to think the
that
opposite. Oh, I'm
story.
not happy today. So does that mean I'm not blessed? And if I'm not blessed, does that mean
Yeah.
I'm not righteous? You
Oh
know,
no, it sounds horrible.
yeah, that's a lot of, and then you don't want to, and I still see it a ton in the
Yeah,
Utah very religious community. You
yeah,
can't admit you're not doing good because by admitting you're not doing good, that means you're not righteous. And you're like,
yeah,
oh, let's just feel it. And for me, again, it took a few very uncomfortable psychedelic experiences because
yeah,
yeah, if you just resist and you don't want to feel those emotions, it's hell. It's like
yeah.
just go into them and process them and allow your body
Mhm,
to feel and to cry and all of that stuff. But
mhm.
it was very different from, I guess, an upbringing too. And that's why I asked the question. I was like, I would have never said that. Like, I just need to feel it. I'm like, no, I want to avoid that crap at all cost.
Yeah,
And now my perspective's changing.
yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, but both ways I think are hard. Like
Yeah.
to suppress them and have them transform into other negative patterns in yourself is really hard, and also to not suppress, I think, and to step into it and be present with it and feel it is also extremely hard as well, but they both kind of have different results, I think, in the long run.
Yeah. I think the latter produces the better results because if you are driven by fear and fear of avoidance of these negative emotions, once you just feel them, they're not as bad as, you can survive them.
Mm.
And then I think that kind of takes the fear away. So, like a personal experience, and for my wife, because she also has intense psychedelic experiences. And it's no longer like, oh, I don't want to have that intense experience. It's, I'm not scared of it anymore. I can feel it and it's okay because I know it's going to go away and it's only temporary. And now we lean more into that. So, of those two options, I do think they are both hard, but the second one of just leaning into it does result in a more, I guess, longer term tranquility.
Hmm.
Shifting gears a little bit to business. You're creative, you're writing songs, but you're also a business owner. How
Hmm.
has that process been for the good and the bad?
It's been a very bumpy road, I would say. Just because, stepping into it so young, it was really difficult. You had to really learn quick, about the financials, and learn quick that, this is your thing, you know. Um, but it was weird because being so young, I had these managers that were so old. I had all these old people telling me what was correct, and being like a young kid, oh well, they're older, they must know, how this works. So I'm, and trying to have a voice, or like um maintain my voice, or I was still finding my voice, so as a person, and I'm still finding it now, but at that time it's like so developmental, at that age. And it was very, very interesting. um uh and it took me, I think, a long time to step into the role of like, this is my business. This is it, dude. Like, you're the CEO, you gotta run ship here, and you gotta buck up, even though you like fucking hate this shit,
Yeah,
and hate these reports, and thinking about this stuff, it's just like, but it's a part of it, you know, and I try to like, I try to look at it as an energy, and me taking care of like an energy, and trying to be a servant of like this energy. Um, and it's constantly, kind of evolving, but I'm still stepping into it now. I would say it's taken me a really long time for me to like feel like, yeah, this is my business. I think, like, honestly, like becoming a parent like really, really like made me feel like, you know, this is your business, and you have to look after it for, you know, it's not only about you anymore, It's about your whole family, your kids' family, if
yeah,
you can, if you can um, support them in that way, um, not just monetarily, but how you, uh, raise them as people, I guess, and try to like distill the values you hope to distill in them, or um, it all ties in, you know. So yeah, but it's hard because I absolutely hate it. I hate thinking about, money, and this going here and this going there, and taxes, and just everything. It's, but um when I look at it as an energy that is to be like kind of taken care of, and in the proper way, it helps soften it a bit.
yeah.
Um, but it's definitely kind of taught me how to like get into my fire sometimes, and you got to be kind of, clear
And
and
actually,
discern.
I was going to ask, especially so young, it's like I don't know anything. I'm so young. I need to rely on these other people. I've
Yeah.
made mistakes, and it's lost me a lot of money, multiple six figures, probably multiple times for bad hires. It's like this guy was the CEO of this company that did $100 million. He knows what he's doing. I give
Right.
him all the power. Nobody cares as much as your business
Yeah.
as you do, and I've made that mistake multiple times.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, he doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but at least I care more. So
Right.
I kind of need to step into my power and be like, okay, no, I do need to make the decisions while still, relying on others and their
Right.
advice.
Right.
Did you go anything through anything like that?
I think I'm still going through stuff like that. I think like you have to like learning to uh step into yourself, and and realize that you do have to look after like as many details as you can, ultimately. Um, and you can't really blame anybody but yourself, at the end of the day, I think. So it's you have to be kind of clear, at some points, which is kind of tough if you're like an empathetic person, or um, you know, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, like something as simple as that, that can cause more harm that, rather than being upfront. And um, I think, yeah, just, getting into that kind of fire is important as a business owner. And so if you want to do it, you gotta learn it if you don't know it, Um, but it's a process, it obviously helps to have good people around you, and that doesn't come overnight. I think I've gone through plenty of different types of people, and they've also gone through me as well, and I think we both teach each other things, even though it may have been hard at the time, but that's how we refine our vision, and and get clear and what works for us and what doesn't work for us, you
Yeah.
know. So
What does your business look like? As like what's kind of the structure of the business of a artist and a songwriter? Just curious.
everybody is different, there's no kind of, I think, like, you know, golden rule, I guess. You know, some people have had the same manager their whole career, and some have gone through, a bunch in their career, or some may be on a big label and some may be independent artists, and that really determines a lot, as to what your business looks like. I'm an independent artist, so you're really running the whole kind of ship, and you're um it's a business. It's your business. You don't have anybody helping you. You're hiring out. You know, um, what you need.
And what are those types of things like that you hire out?
Well, it'd be like, if I wanted to record a record, you know, I don't have a record company giving me a loan to go record that record. I got to come up with that money myself, you know. So if I want to record with this producer on this album, that producer has a fee, right? And there's also costs and recording a record, and time and hotels and food, and, you know, all those things.
What
Um,
does something like that look like? If you don't mind me sharing, like if you wanted to go record a record, like what do you have
Again, everybody's different. You can record a record for 10 G's, or you can record a record for 150 G's, or
all over the place?
it could be, yeah, some, if you're recording with a big producer, I mean, I don't even know how much that would cost. Um, so it just depends on what you're doing. But when you're independent, you have to you have to come up with that, obviously, unless you have like private investors or something. But I don't really, it's weird like talking like this, because like I don't really even think about this stuff, with music. It's like music, um, it's yeah, it's just crazy. It's just I feel like I'm speaking in a foreign language, but this is how it works for me. This is I'm
Music
in
first, and the business you just have to do it to get your music.
yeah.
I'm like, I love the
No,
business
but like I
audacity.
don't know what else I could say. I mean, I guess like for artists usually have like a manager, and that manager is basically like your go point person for everything, you know. And there's all different types of managers, they're, but a manager looks after the whole kind of ship with you. And, a good manager will have like vision on growth and how to, tap into your story and your gifts, unique gifts, and try to, I think, bring those and grow those and nurture those. Um, that I think is a very important quality in a manager, you know. And then they also look after all the, you know, they're kind of talking to everybody, organizing everything for you, um, bringing you creative ideas. I mean, it's like I really see it as like, yeah, you're like brother or sister,
Huh.
you know.
Super tight.
Um, and then, you know, if you're a touring artist, you know, you'll probably have a booking agent, you know, and they're in charge of going after the tours that you want to get on or setting up your routing and your tours and the venues, and they take care of all the contracts with each venue and all that stuff. So that's a really big piece of the business. And then you might have some people might have like a CPA, you know, like a cash manager, you know, that kind of takes care of the financials and taxes and because you know if you're a touring musician you're paying taxes in multiple different states and it gets really fucking crazy, you know, so you got to have some people, you know, look at that correctly. So
These
that
are
kind of forms, I think that would kind of forms like the core of the business to answer your question.
okay.
If you're a musician, for me, that's me. You know, if you're not a touring musician, you probably wouldn't have an agent and you might have more of a publicity team or like something like that. But I don't know. It just depends on how you want to build it, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, super helpful. I was just super curious about it. And I
Yeah.
also think whether it's a musician or a doctor or an
Mm-hmm.
attorney, it's like I'm good at practicing law, but I still need to make sure I'm paying my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to, if you own your own practice, right? And I'm
Yeah.
also a marketer and I'm a social media manager. You can
Uh-huh.
hire people for those, but again, you're the CEO. And I think that is often overlooked on all of the other aspects. I mean, you mentioning taxes, we're going through that. We had to set up all these EINs through all the different states. I don't know, we're in like 20 something states and you paint, and it's just like, I do not know how to do any of
Yeah.
this. I'm just hoping
Yeah.
somebody else is
Yeah.
doing it
I wouldn't
quick.
know. I would be hopeless without my CPA. Like
Yeah.
it's of great help, you know. And I'm lucky that I'm able to have that, you know.
And then that allows you to focus more on what you're more passionate about and what you love more is
Of
doing.
course, you know, being an artist, you know, I want to focus on being in my flow and being in creation, you know.
Yeah.
Um and so yeah, you do your best to oversee everything, but also you have to shut it out and be like, this is the roots of everything, and this is the most important thing of everything.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure I'm nurturing this, you know, more than anything.
Awesome. Are there any rituals or routines that you use to be proactive with your mental health that you can share with us?
Absolutely. Um, there's a lot of different things. I'm just trying to think of like not so much in a rate of like importance. Um, but I think being finding one's passion is extremely important in one's mental health, you
Mhm.
know, because of just speaking from my own, I guess, like sense, in my darkest days, you know, like the only thing that has, you know, given me kind of a spark of, you know, like joy or something is like music, you know, and song. And even if it's that fire is like so low, even if it's just like an ember, you know, um, just trying to hold on to that passion because passion brings life, you know, it brings fire, it brings breath, you know. And I think that that's like just important in one's mental health. So if you're passionate about painting, you know, I think it's important to like paint like every day or as much as you can, you know. Um, if you're passionate about walking, if you're passionate about knitting or physical things or reading, you know, stories, it's it's up to you. You know, I think that that's just important in one's own journey. I think in mental health,
Yeah.
um, and I think yeah, I think sleep is important in maintaining. You know, I find that when I'm kind of spinning out a little bit, I'm I'm numbing myself. You know, I'm staying up late and I'm just like watching TV, or I'm scrolling on my phone mindlessly, or I'm, you know, like just, you know, being stupid, you know, and just wasting this time to just rest my body and rest my mind. I think it's just like very important to try to find a bedtime routine, you know.
Uh-huh.
Um, and obviously, physical exercise is like a huge factor in my mental health, or just it's more of just like movement of the body, you know. Um, I'm not one that's like inclined to like, you know, go work out. I could, you know, sit here in the studio all day every day and work on music, you know. Um, but I love the way I feel after. It's just kind of that process of starting, right? But I do find when I'm in a regular exercise pattern, my mental health is much better than if this my energy's stagnant and just kind of stuck, you know. Um, these are all just very practical things I think that go a long way, you know, um, for me at
Yeah.
least.
I
Yeah.
like all those. I mean, sleep, I think is time and time again, no matter who I'm following on the science, it's like that's the number one thing you can do. And I've also my favorite science podcast is Huberman Lab. If you're familiar with
Mm,
that. And it's you look at I actually have them right here. Okay, the cord's not gonna go. Anyways, these super bright lights. You look at those in the morning and resets your melatonin, raises cortisol levels to make you wake up. But it also gets that circadian rhythm, and that's the number one thing you can do for sleep, and sleep's the number one
yeah.
thing you can do for mental health. And it's something so simple. You look at some bright lights, and you get to bed on time, and man, it makes a big difference. At the
Yeah.
beginning of the podcast, talked about success, and somebody else's definition of success is money or XYZ. That's totally fine. And I just had a thought to that, maybe challenging it a little bit. I think that success is money or houses, or I think that's all pretty superficial because it's really what is that money going to buy me, and then what emotion am I going to feel after I buy a larger following or status or news articles or a new house. And I'm kind of looping that into what you said at the beginning of finding your purpose. A lot of people, I think, we chase for that monetary success, whether we hit it or not. If you do hit it, then you're kind of like, oh crap, that's didn't really bring me anything because I didn't
Mm,
actually take the time to see what I'm passionate about. I just said, oh, money's an easy one. I like money. I like how it makes me feel, but we
mm,
didn't really take the time to dive into it like you did. I'm like, I know very clear this is what music brings me. And then you can
mm,
go pursue that. I think a lot of us don't take enough time, myself included, to really find what we're passionate about. I kind of had to go through my
mm,
own little midlife crisis to figure it out
mm.
and do all the mission statements and core values and all of that. But I love that you found that so early on. Um,
Yes, I don't know what I would do without music, you know.
and
Don't
you can tell how you talk about it, how just passionate you are. So that's awesome. Last question for you then. What is the legacy you want to leave behind? How do you want to be remembered?
I don't know. I you know, uh all the usual things, I guess, you know. I hope to be remembered as a good guy. Um, you know, I hope that, you know, my music inspired people in a good way, you know, or was a part of their life, you know, in a positive way. Um, and yeah, just just those things.
I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
for me and my wife, it really has been. So any listeners who, for
Thanks,
whatever
man.
reason, haven't listened to your music, go listen to it. I mean, that's if you're not having a good day, you put on some Trevor Hall, put down what you're carrying, and you're just like, why the hell am I carrying this?
Oh,
It
good,
makes so
good.
much
Thanks.
sense. Anyways, and your voice is absolutely amazing. So I appreciate
Thank you.
you pursuing your talents. I know it's scary to go do something new.
Mm.
Obviously, you've been through a lot, but man, I'm sure it's rewarding for you. But I assure you, it's rewarding for the people it's touching. So I really
Give
appreciate that.
thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And what's the best way for listeners to connect with you, Trevor?
Well, trevorhallmusic.com is our website. It has all of our info on there, but we're Trevor Hall Music on socials. Um, and yeah, just check us out, see if it moves you. And that's where you can find it. Yeah, Spotify is Trevor Hall. Um, and yeah,
Okay,
that's where
thank
it's
you so
at.
much.
Thank you, my G.